Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read at 66012 The Gray-Eyed Goddess, page 90. Desperate to keep Odysseus on her island, Calypso gave him one more reason to stay. If we sail for home, Odysseus will find many troubles along the way, for the gods will not aid your journey. She said, they will test your power of endurance again and again. Should the gods choose to destroy my raft, I shall bear it, said Odysseus. I have suffered many hardships and can certainly endure one more. Calypso sighed and nodded. She could see that she had no choice. She had to let Odysseus go. The next morning at dawn, Calypso, dressed in a beautiful, shimmering silver gown, she covered her head with a veil. Then she gave Odysseus a sharp axe made of bronze led him to the far end of the island. There many tall trees grew, aspens and pines that reached as high as the sky. Cut what you need for your ship, the goddess said. For the next 4 days, Odysseus cut down trees with his bronze axe. He worked until he had felled 20. Then he set about building his raft. He smoothed the felled timbers and fixed them together with wooden bolts. Then he built the deck and made a mast and a steering rudder. Calypso gave him linen cloth for a sail. When the sea craft was finally finished, Odysseus used the logs to roll it down to the water. On the 5th day after Hermes' visit to Calypso, Odysseus was ready to set sail. Calypso gave him clean clothes. She gave him goatskins filled with deep red wine and water and meat. She told him which stars he should follow to guide his way. The goddess hid her grief as Odysseus moved away from her into the water and climbed aboard his raft. The last gift Calypso gave Odysseus was a fair, warm wind to send his raft safely out to sea. Chapter 8. The Voyage. With his hands gripping the rudder, Odysseus skillfully guided his raft over the waves. He never slept. All night, he kept his eyes fixed on the stars that Calypso had told him to watch, the Pleiades and the Bear. Day after day, night after night, Odysseus sailed the seas. Finally, on the 18th day, he saw the dim outline of mountains on the horizon. As Odysseus steered his raft toward the shore, dark clouds gathered overhead. The water began to rise. The wind began to blow until it was roaring over the earth and sea. Has Poseidon discovered my raft? Odysseus wondered anxiously. Does he now seek his final revenge? For many years, Poseidon, mighty ruler of the sea, had been angry with Odysseus for blinding his son, the Cyclops. Now it seemed he was trying to destroy Odysseus once again. The wind roared from the north, south, east, and west. Daylight plunged into darkness. Odysseus feared he was about to come to a terrible, lonely end. Suddenly, an enormous wave crashed down on Odysseus' raft. Odysseus was swept overboard and pulled deep beneath the sea. He struggled wildly to raise his head above the water and breathe. When his head finally broke the surface, Odysseus saw his raft swiftly moving away across the water. He swam as fast as he could toward the wooden craft. He grabbed the timbers and pulled himself aboard. Then, as the wind swirled the raft across the water, Odysseus saw an astonishing sight. A sea goddess was floating like a gull on top of the waves, seemingly impervious to the great storm. She floated near his raft and climbed aboard. My friend, she said, I'm Ino, the white goddess, who guides sailors in storms. I know not why Poseidon is angry with you, but I know this, for all the torture he has inflicted upon you, he will not kill you. But you must leave your raft at once and swim for the shore. Take my bell, for it is enchanted. You will come to no harm as long as you possess it. As soon as you reach land, you must throw it back into the sea." With these words, the white goddess removed her enchanted veil and gave it to Odysseus. Then she disappeared back into the wild sea. At the moment, a huge wave crashed down on Odysseus' raft, ripping it to pieces. Clutching Ino's veil, Odysseus pulled himself onto a wooden plank and rode it as if it were a horse. Then he dove down into the sea. Suddenly all the winds died down except the north wind. Odysseus felt that Athena was holding the other winds back so he could swim safely and swiftly to some distant shore. For 2 days and 2 nights, with the north wind gently flattening the waves before him, he swam and floated on the calm sea. On the third day, the north wind died away and the sea was completely calm. Odysseus saw land ahead. With a burst of joy, he swam toward the rocky shore. In an instant, the wind and waves returned. With a thundering roar, sea spray rained down on him. Odysseus struggled to keep his head above the churning water, seeking a place to go ashore. Angry waves were pounding the reefs with great force. "I'll be dashed against the rocks if I try to swim ashore now," he thought desperately. But once again, Odysseus felt the presence of Athena. A giant wave picked him up and carried him over the rocks toward the beach. But before Odysseus could crawl ashore to safety, another wave dragged him back into the sea and pulled him under the water. Odysseus swam desperately, escaping the waves pounding the shore. Soon he came to a sheltered cove. He saw a riverbank free of rough stones. As he swam toward the bank, he prayed to the gods to save him from the angry attack of Poseidon. Suddenly the waves were still, but when Odysseus tried to haul himself ashore, his body failed him. He had been defeated by the storm. It had ripped his flesh and robbed his muscles of their strength. He was passing in and out of consciousness. Gasping for breath, he pulled off Ino's veil and threw it back into the sea. Then he used his last bit of strength to drag himself out of the water and throw himself into the river reeds. "If I lie here all night, I shall die from the cold and damp," he thought. "If I go farther ashore and pass out in a thicket, wild beasts will devour me." No matter what evils lay ahead, he knew he had to push on. On bleeding hands and knees, he crawled to a sheltered spot under an olive tree, a tree sacred to the goddess Athena. Odysseus lay down in a pile of dead leaves. With his bloody hands, he spread leaves over his torn body, like a farmer spreading ashes over the embers of his fire. He tried to protect the last spark of life within him. Mercifully, the gray-eyed goddess slipped down from the heavens and appeared at his side. She closed his weary eyes and pulled him down into a sweet sleep that took away his pain and sorrow. Epilogue. Back in Ithaca, Penelope, the wife of Odysseus, opened the door and greeted a friend named Medon. "I have just received the terrible news," said Medon. "Your suitors, led by Antinous, are plotting against your son. They are waiting for him on the island of Asteris. When his ship sails past, they will kill him." Penelope fell to the floor in a faint. When she came to, she wept bitterly. "Where is my boy?" she said between sobs. "I thought he was somewhere in the countryside." "I know only that he set out some days ago in search of news of his father," said Medon. "Soon he will be sailing for home and crossing the path of his enemy." Penelope was plunged into such despair that she could not rise from the floor. As she wept and wailed for her lost husband and her beloved son, all her handmaidens were wept with her. Euryclea, the aged nursemaid of Telemachus, tried to comfort her. "Call upon the goddess Athena," she urged Penelope. "Ask for her help. She will save your boy." The old woman wiped away Penelope's tears. She helped the bath and dressed her in clean linens. She helped to make an offering to the goddess. Penelope prayed to Athena. "O daughter of Zeus, hear me," she said. "I beg you to keep my son safe from harm." Exhausted and filled with grief, Penelope then went to her chambers and lay down on her bed. Mercifully, the gray-eyed goddess soon came. She clothed the Penelope's weary eyes and pulled her down into a sweet sleep that took away her pain and sorrow. The end.